Imagine holding a small tin in your hand, no bigger than your palm, yet inside it lies a delicacy so rare and precious that it can cost more than a brand new flat-screen television. That's the world of premium caviar, where just 1 kilogram can fetch up to $35,000 according to Smithsonian. It's not churned out by machines in massive factories like potato chips or soda. Each ounce demands years of patience, careful handling, and a level of precision you'd expect more from fine watchmaking than food production. And yet, despite its exclusivity, the United States alone produces more than 40 tons of caviar every year, most of it from sustainable sturgeon farms in California, as reported by NOAA Fisheries. The question is, how do millions of fragile eggs make the journey from cold water tanks to luxury dining tables across the world? The story behind caviar is one of tradition, science, patience, and luxury intertwined. Caviar has been celebrated for centuries, with its origins reaching back to the Persian Empire where it wasn't just considered food but a tonic believed to boost strength and vitality. Later, it became a status symbol across Europe and Russia, gracing the tables of royalty. What might surprise many Americans today is that in the 19th century, the United States was once one of the world's largest caviar suppliers. Rivers like the Delaware and the Hudson were teeming with sturgeon, and caviar was so abundant that in some cities, it was sold cheaper than a sandwich. Taverns in New York even handed it out for free as bar snacks to encourage beer sales. But overfishing eventually decimated wild populations, forcing governments to impose strict controls and paving the way for modern aquaculture. Today, nearly all American caviar comes from carefully managed, sustainable fish farms, ensuring both quality and conservation. Unlike most foods, caviar's story doesn't begin in a factory but in sprawling fish farms designed to mimic the natural habitats of sturgeon. These prehistoric-looking fish, some species dating back more than 200 million years, are housed in vast ponds or advanced recirculating tanks. Water quality is the heartbeat of these farms. Powerful filtration systems continuously clean and oxygenate the water, maintaining oxygen at about 8 milligrams per liter, a level vital for the fish's health and long-term growth. Temperature is another carefully managed factor. Water is kept between 64 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, balancing the fish's metabolic activity while ensuring the slow, even development of eggs. Every detail matters because unlike other farmed fish, sturgeon take their time, lots of time. Depending on the species, females may take 7 to 10 years to reach maturity and produce eggs ready for harvest. That decade-long wait is why each fish is tracked with incredible care. From the moment a sturgeon enters the farm, technicians insert a microchip under its skin, which acts like a digital passport. It logs the fish's age, weight, health records, and growth patterns. Every feeding, every health check, every environmental adjustment is monitored. The fish are fed diets rich in proteins and marine oils to replicate the nutrients they'd naturally consume in the wild. By the time a female sturgeon finally reaches maturity, she has been managed, monitored, and nurtured for nearly a decade, an investment of time and expertise unlike almost any other food source on the planet. When the moment of truth arrives, farmers must confirm if the eggs are ready. This isn't guesswork. Ultrasound scanners, the same type used in human medical care, are gently applied to the fish to capture images of the ovaries. Technicians study the size, firmness, and uniformity of the eggs. Only if the ultrasound confirms that the eggs are of perfect quality does the harvest proceed. The fish are handled with great care, not only for humane reasons but also because stress hormones can change the chemical composition of the eggs, affecting taste and texture. In a sterile processing room, the ovaries are carefully removed. For a single 90-pound fish, the roe alone may weigh up to 18 pounds, representing years of waiting condensed into one moment. From here, the race against time begins. Freshly removed ovaries are cooled immediately to near freezing, halting bacterial growth and protecting the delicate membranes of the eggs. Speed is critical. If processors wait too long, natural enzymes begin to degrade the roe, ruining its integrity. Workers slice the ovaries into smaller sections and gently press them against fine mesh screens. This separates the eggs from connective tissue. The mesh openings are less than 2 millimeters wide, allowing only whole, intact eggs to pass through. Broken eggs and residue are left behind. What emerges is a cascade of glistening black pearls, each one still fragile but now free of the structures that held them together inside the fish. Next comes rinsing, a process as delicate as it is essential. The eggs are swirled gently in chilled, purified water kept just above freezing. This removes any blood or tissue while preserving the firmness of the roe. Workers visually inspect the batch, checking for consistent size, clarity, and sheen. A high-quality batch gleams with a glossy surface and has just the right resistance to touch. But this stage is unforgiving. Too much agitation or a few seconds of delay can rupture thousands of eggs, turning an entire batch into waste. This is why only highly trained technicians are entrusted with the task. Once rinsed, the eggs rest on mesh trays to drain excess water, preparing them for the crucial salting stage. Salt isn't just a flavor enhancer, it's the key to preservation and balance. Each batch is weighed with precision, and between 3 and 5% salt is folded into the eggs by hand. Imagine a technician slowly folding salt into a bowl of fragile pearls, careful not to crush a single one. Too little salt and the caviar spoils quickly. Too much and the subtle buttery flavor disappears beneath harshness. This is the art of caviar making, finding the perfect harmony. The salted eggs are then left to cure under controlled refrigeration for several hours, allowing the salt to penetrate evenly. Different farms use different curing methods, giving their caviar unique textures and flavor profiles. Some aim for a silky, buttery finish, while others prefer a crisp pop when the eggs burst on the palate. Before it can be sold, every batch undergoes strict microbiological testing. Samples are analyzed for bacteria, moisture content, and salinity. Only after clearing these checks does the caviar advance to packaging, another delicate stage. Tins, ranging from tiny 30-gram portions to large 1-kilogram containers, are filled with the finished product. Before sealing, oxygen is carefully removed to prevent oxidation, which would otherwise dull the flavor and shorten shelf life. Many facilities use vacuum equipment to lock the caviar in a stable environment. Each tin is labeled with precise details: production date, species of sturgeon, batch code, and salinity percentage. These labels aren't just for record keeping. They're critical for chefs who rely on consistency when preparing dishes for discerning clients. Storage conditions are strict. Finished caviar is kept at temperatures between 28 and 36 degrees Fahrenheit, a narrow band that prevents bacterial growth while preserving the natural oils that give caviar its luxurious mouthfeel. Even under perfect conditions, high-grade caviar is usually shipped and consumed within weeks. From there, refrigerated trucks deliver the tins to airports, where they are flown to Michelin-starred restaurants, luxury hotels, and specialty shops across the globe. By the time a tin of caviar arrives at a diner's table, it has passed through nearly a decade of patient farming, meticulous handling, and exacting science. What diners experience in a single bite is the culmination of years of expertise and tradition. Caviar, in many ways, is the perfect symbol of luxury born from water. It represents how far humans will go to capture and preserve something rare, delicate, and fleeting. But the pursuit of luxury doesn't end there. On land, another controversial delicacy has captured attention for centuries: foie gras. According to Statista, global foie gras production surpasses 25,000 metric tons each year, with the United States standing among the key importers. A single duck or goose liver can grow to nearly 10 times its natural size, making foie gras one of the most debated foods in the culinary world. Yet despite the controversy, its rich, buttery flavor remains highly sought after in fine dining. To understand it, we must journey into farms where ducks and geese are raised, exploring how this indulgence makes its way to elite kitchens around the world. The story of foie gras stretches back to ancient Egypt, where farmers observed that geese naturally gorged themselves on food before migration, developing unusually large, fatty livers. The practice of deliberately feeding birds to replicate this effect became a culinary tradition, passed down through centuries. By the time of the Roman Empire, foie gras was a delicacy served at banquets for the elite. Recipes were documented describing how birds were fattened for their prized livers. Centuries later, the technique took root in France, where foie gras became deeply embedded in regional cuisine, especially in Gascony and Alsace. Today, it remains a symbol of French gastronomy, both celebrated and criticized, admired for its taste but scrutinized for its production methods. Imagine sitting down at a restaurant table and being served two dishes that couldn't be more different. One is a buttery, controversial delicacy crafted by reshaping nature itself, and the other is a sweet, golden syrup that drips from trees each spring. Both foods are considered luxurious in their own right, yet the processes behind them reveal two very different stories, one built on centuries-old farming techniques designed to push natural boundaries, and the other rooted in tradition, patience, and the rhythms of the forest. Today we're pulling back the curtain on two of the world's most fascinating foods, foie gras and maple syrup. One is rich, decadent, and divisive, while the other is pure, wholesome, and as American as pancakes on a Sunday morning. By the end, you'll see just how much work, science, and history go into the things we take for granted on our plates. At the early stages of foie gras production, everything seems almost ordinary. The liver of a duck or goose is still normal in size, and farmers focus on conditioning the birds rather than fattening them. Healthy lungs and a strong digestive system are essential at this point because the entire process relies on the natural ability of waterfowl to store energy in the liver during their migration cycles. Before the final feeding phase begins, the birds go through a carefully managed transition period known as pre-gavage. Over the course of 2 to 3 weeks, their diet gradually shifts to high-energy corn, offered several times each day to encourage steady weight gain. Farmers watch the environment closely during this stage. Pens are built with slatted floors so waste falls through, reducing ammonia levels and keeping the ducks clean and comfortable. Light cycles are also adjusted to mimic the birds' natural rhythms, which helps them feed consistently. By the end of this stage, each bird weighs between 6 and 7 kilograms, and their digestive systems are prepared to handle the starch-heavy diet that defines the final phase. Then comes the defining period of foie gras production, the gavage, a technique that has sparked debates around the world. Lasting 10 to 14 days, this is where the transformation happens. Twice or sometimes 3 times a day, each bird is fed a precise dose of cooked corn mash. The feeding is done using a flexible plastic tube attached to a pneumatic pump, which gently delivers the corn directly down the bird's esophagus into its crop. The process itself takes only seconds, but the results are dramatic. With each meal ranging from 200 to 450 grams, the liver begins to enlarge, reaching up to 10 times its normal size by the end of the cycle. A healthy duck liver usually weighs around 80 grams, but after gavage, it can reach anywhere from 500 to 900 grams. This is the transformation that creates the rich, buttery texture prized in foie gras. But it also raises the question, could you ever enjoy foie gras knowing exactly what it takes to make it? Once the fattening stage is complete, the ducks typically weigh between 8 and 9 kilograms and are transported to processing facilities where strict sanitary standards are enforced. Within hours, the birds are stunned, slaughtered, and eviscerated to prevent spoilage. The liver is carefully removed from the body cavity and immediately inspected for color and firmness. The highest quality foie gras has a smooth, pale, buttery appearance without any visible blood vessels. Premium livers often weigh close to a kilogram, though the average falls around 600 grams. Time is critical here. Within minutes of removal, the livers are chilled to between 0 and 2 degrees Celsius to preserve freshness. Grading follows, with inspectors dividing the livers into 3 categories: extra top grade, first grade, and second grade. Only the extra top-grade livers are sold whole to fine dining restaurants, while the lower grades are processed into pâté or tranches. Before packaging, many livers are lightly deveined by hand, a delicate task that ensures smoothness. Some are kept raw for chefs who prefer to work with fresh foie gras, while others are gently cooked in vacuum-sealed bags at low temperatures, a sous vide method that stabilizes fat and extends shelf life. Packaging is the final step, usually done through vacuum sealing in plastic or sealing in metal cans. Every package is labeled with details such as farm origin, weight, and processing date. From here, foie gras is stored at refrigerated temperatures between 0 and 4 degrees Celsius and shipped in cooled trucks to restaurants across the globe. Within just a few days, the product can be on a plate, ready to be served in some of the finest kitchens in the world. Foie gras represents a centuries-old tradition, but it's also a food that continues to stir controversy. Farmers argue that it's an extension of natural bird behavior during migration, while critics point to animal welfare concerns. Regardless of where you stand, there's no denying the precision, labor, and tradition behind every bite. Yet, if foie gras is an example of how humans bend nature to create indulgence, maple syrup shows the opposite, a product that flows naturally, needing little more than patience, heat, and time. Each spring, as winter loosens its grip, maple trees across North America begin a quiet transformation. According to Agriculture and Agri-Food Canada, more than 13 million gallons of maple syrup are produced annually, enough to fill more than 19 Olympic swimming pools. But before it becomes the golden liquid drizzled over pancakes and waffles, it begins as something far less exciting: clear, watery sap. Long before European settlers arrived, Native Americans were already tapping maple trees, using wooden spouts and hollowed logs to collect sap. They concentrated it by dropping hot stones into the liquid, slowly boiling it down to syrup. When Europeans adopted the practice in the 1600s, they introduced iron kettles, which made reducing large volumes of sap far easier. By the 19th century, maple syrup had become a staple sweetener in the northern United States and Canada, and even with the arrival of refined sugar, families in Vermont, Quebec, and beyond kept the springtime ritual alive. The season for maple syrup begins in late winter, when daytime temperatures climb above freezing while nights remain cold. This fluctuation in pressure triggers sap flow inside the trees. Workers drill small holes, typically about 7 millimeters wide and a few centimeters deep, into the trunks of mature sugar maples. Each tree can support 1 to 3 taps depending on its size, and into these holes go spouts made of metal or food-grade plastic. From there, sap either drips into traditional buckets or flows through elaborate tubing systems. A single tree can yield 30 to 50 liters of sap during a season, though the sugar content is only about 2 to 3%. That means it takes an astonishing 40 liters of sap to make just 1 liter of syrup. In larger operations, vacuum tubing systems connect hundreds of trees at once, carrying sap downhill into massive collection tanks. From there, the clear liquid is pumped into evaporators housed in rustic sugar shacks or modern factories. These evaporators consist of wide stainless steel pans heated by oil, wood, or natural gas. As the sap boils, clouds of steam rise into the air, carrying the unmistakable aroma of maple. Pure water boils at 100 degrees Celsius, but syrup only begins to thicken once the boiling point rises to about 104 degrees. The goal is to concentrate the sugar from just 2 or 3% up to around 66%. This can take hours of steady boiling, during which workers skim foam off the surface to keep the syrup clear. Once the sap thickens to the perfect consistency, it is filtered to remove sugar sand, or niter mineral deposits that form during boiling. Left unfiltered, these deposits make the syrup cloudy and gritty. Then comes grading. In the U.S., syrup is divided into 4 categories: golden, amber, dark, and very dark. Golden has a light, delicate flavor, while very dark carries strong caramelized notes perfect for baking or cooking. Every batch is measured with a hydrometer to confirm the sugar concentration hits the 66% mark, which ensures both safety and long shelf life. While still hot, around 85 degrees Celsius, the syrup is poured directly into bottles, cans, or bulk barrels. Packaging while hot sterilizes the containers and prevents contamination. From small glass bottles for retail shelves to 200-liter steel drums for export, each package is labeled with production date, grade, and origin. Stored in cool, dark warehouses, properly sealed maple syrup can last years without losing flavor. From there, it makes its way to supermarkets, breakfast diners, and export markets around the world. What started as clear sap dripping from trees in a snowy forest now arrives on tables everywhere, completing a seasonal cycle rooted in history and tradition. In the end, both foie gras and maple syrup remind us of a simple truth: food is never just food. Behind every dish lies a story of patience, labor, and history. One reveals how far humans will go to reshape nature for indulgence, while the other demonstrates the quiet magic of working in harmony with it. The next time you drizzle syrup on your pancakes or see foie gras on a menu, you'll know that what looks simple on the plate is the result of extraordinary effort behind the scenes. And if you're curious to discover more secrets hidden inside the foods we eat every day, make sure to subscribe and join us for the next journey.